I've been looking forward to this ride for ages. Well, for as long as I've found out that it was happening. So, look. Which is to say the new Force. And I'm out with Dave Evans and Lockie McKillop, who's behind, and Rob Eva, who's driving the car. And this is my first 7 kilometres on this bike with this group set. In 7 kilometres, I can say, yeah, I'm pretty used to it. Yeah, it's good, it's nice. Now there's bike riders ahead and a little bit of a climb, so camera away, talk to you in a minute. As the presence of my companions would suggest, it's launch week. So you're going to see this group set on a few cycling media. And I'm going to try and give you my perspective, honestly. And I've been using Force since 2019, I think. Maybe. Is that possible? When did Force launch?
Force eTap AXS was 2019. So this is the next iteration of Force. And as you'll see a little bit later on, this will just be known as Force AXS, not Force eTap AXS. So we think our customers are pretty familiar with the eTap technology, and we feel like it's worth just keeping it a little bit simpler. So Force AXS will be the name of this group set.
There you go, bit of an overview on the ride. So I always film the arrival, but I just went down some stairs, so threw the camera on the ground. And good news, still working, I think, I hope. Ta-da! You know it, I know it, and we all know it as cycling paradise. Isn't it lovely? Rhetorical question. Bloody beautiful, I love it here. I'm going to go cross country and show you the bike. To be truthful, I jumped on the bike and I haven't really looked at the group set, so I'll do that, well, when I don't have company and when I'm talking about it with these gentlemen. Lockie?
Howdy.
I'll get you in the sunlight. Could you just give us a little overview of what you do with SRAM, please, while I'm standing here with my bike?
My role is technical content specialist, so I deal with training, tech-sided training for mechanics, which is within SRAM.
So I'm going to chew Lockie's ear about this and find out some differences. He's just told me the front derailleur, it's a little bit special because it doesn't just go psh, it goes psh and twists. Yeah, I'll explain later, or Lockie will explain, because I don't make much technical sense. So we're just going to do a little quick mid-ride impromptu mechanic tech session with Lockie, because he knows all about it and he's sort of actually teaching people about this new group set. So I might learn, well, I'm going to learn plenty. Mechanics who are watching this can probably know a fair bit about it, but there are some modifications to the new group set, and I'll just get it straight from the horse's mouth rather than pretending that I'm going to be able to explain all the tech. And there's a view over yonder which will probably distract me, and there's heaps of cicadas, so sorry about the background noise. Just to give you a lay of the land. I'll do that again because it's bloody beautiful. Lockie, rather than me second guessing all of the changes, can you just give us a quick overview of what's going on with the new group set?
So this is the first update to AXS from the Force line. It launched in 2019. And there's quite a few, I suppose you would call them, incremental improvements throughout the group set as we've come through. So the biggest one you're going to notice there, I'd say first and foremost, is the chainring. The chainrings are now a one-piece technology, which is trickled down from SRAM Red. There's a superior shift quality, and there's some weight savings to be made with that as well. So in a lot of ways, SRAM Force AXS is kind of a best of group set. It takes technology of its upper and lower tiers to kind of combine everything. If we move up to, say, the front derailleur as well, there's a few architectural changes on the cage. This does increase stiffness slightly, and we kind of mentioned on the ride, Rob, it has a yaw shift. So instead of moving in a parallel, it moves at a slight angle, and this allows you to actually cross-chain on your bike. So we absolutely say you can be in your big chainring and up in your 33 or whatever your largest cog is, and still ride. And that's all due to the way that the derailleur moves. So it's optimized to maintain chain line in either top or bottom, as opposed to just having a static position on there as well. To all the mechanics out there and workshops and home workshops, all of these front derailleurs do ship with the front derailleur mounting tool. It actually slots within the cage when the chain's off and you're setting up. It just slots onto the chainring, you rotate the cranks up, and then you mount onto the braze-on or whatever mount you use. It just streamlines the setup. Because of that, your cage is quite a specific series of steps to get these set up and shifting properly. Once it's set up, it shifts perfectly. But if it's set up like other types of derailleurs or using other methods, there can be issues. So that streamlines all of that. In terms of chain and cassette, these are in line with previous Force. We're still 12-speed at the back. We're running a nickel coating on the cassette. Keeps everything a little bit quieter, a little bit faster. And the chain itself really goes unchanged. We've got a solid inner and outer link and a semi-hollow pin, I suppose you'd call it. So a solid pin, but with a circumferential pin on the outside, which makes it all nice and strong and lasts longer.
And the red chain is the same as the Force chain, or is there still
a completely hollow pin?
Okay.
So you save a little bit of weight. There's a little bit of increase in stiffness in the pin and the way they kind of stamp together. But the architecture is the same. They're both flat top still, so flat on the top. Moving the material that we had on the external link when we add an extra cog, go a little bit thinner, so it adds the material to the top, so we maintain strength whilst adding an extra cog on and making everything a little bit thinner. Driver bodies have not really changed in size for a long time. Everything's just gotten smaller, so we need to maintain the strength as the chains get thinner as well. Mm-hmm. Rear derailleur wise, look, there's not a whole lot of changes. Obviously, the whole aesthetic of the group set's different. The aesthetic of this is quite different. We've got the unicorn grey colour, which is a glitter grey, and then we've got the laser foils as well, which does make it look a bit different. We have simplified things quite heavily with the rear derailleurs. Before we had two rear derailleurs, and you may have it on your existing Focus. There was a max 33 cog, and there was a max 36 cog. So you couldn't go up to the 36 cassette if you had the 33 derailleur. There was just too big a spread in terms of gearing and this little B adjustment. With the latest Force, that 1026 is gone, and we now just have a derailleur that works to 1028, 1030, 1033, and 1036 altogether. So if riders want to change their gearing, they don't need to change their derailleur, which is nice.
And that's a huge bonus just for someone who tests bikes, I can say. just quickly go through the detail of the linkage requirements when you do the swapping, because you can't go straight from one bike, from one option to the next.
You can't just slap on, yeah. If this is a 1033, we just went and put a 1036 on. We would have issues here because the B gap adjustment, which is here, would not be set right. Now, there's actually a tool to set these as well. There's also measurements in the manual. I actually use the measurements just with a set of verniers or even an Allen key, because it's usually a 5mm gap. The way you set your B gap is you'll go into the largest cog, and then there is a set gap between this guide pulley here and the cog itself, and that'll change from cassette to cassette. But if we went up to say the 36 right now, it would be too close. So you do need to reset that. You may also need to change your chain length as well. That will come down to sizing it as per the SRAM manual. And it's done by going in your largest cog here, largest cog at the back, not through the derailleur. Find the point of overlap, you add a link plus the power lock. There's no hard and fast rule to that, just because this chainstay length can change, but also the angles of where it's pitched. So you do need to measure that as well.
Okay. So for people waxing their chains, it's an easy removal or not?
Super easy removal. I suppose this is probably a thing I try to really educate with people the most. There is a power lock on here, which is right there. These are specific to this flat top chain as well. So don't use other ones. You'll find there is a very different shape to it. Do make sure they're facing the right way as well. There's a little arrow on them, and you always want that arrow pointing at the derailleur at the bottom, so you can see it. The way I always remember. Kind of the other way, it would miss a shift. They're really easy to clip off. The biggest thing with them though is they are single use. They are not multi-use. So you don't pop them off, whack your chain, and use the old one. That old one goes in the bin, and then you replace it with a fresh one.
Just the cost, is that expensive?
Yeah, like $4.50, so
okay.
A cup of coffee.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, cheaper than new teeth if you don't replace it.
Yeah.
So they'll clip back in. The design around it is when they clip in the first time, they're the strongest link in the chain. They're also probably the heaviest link in the chain, so you don't want a lot of them in there, it's not the one.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a little lip, so when it locks in, it is physically locking into place. When you disconnect, it actually takes the edge off that lip, and that's where if you put it back on again, there's potential for it to slip. So single use, but easy to take off. Everyone
pretty much is adjusted to wireless setup. Is there any difference with the setup of the new Groupset?
No, like you'll feel a difference up on the hands. There are some differences with the connectivity of the levers. So the lever shape has changed, which you've probably felt from your old one. And you can definitely look with Dave's bike later as well, which is the older style red. It's slimmed down. But the reason for that slim down is we've actually removed the AUX ports on the front. So do you use any of the plug-in buttons or anything on your bike at the moment?
I have some, not the triggers, but the other ones, the buttons.
Yep, the buttons. So you can't mount those to this, which sounds annoying, but we make wireless blips now. And you can run up to 6 of those with this system. So you can have climbers, you can have sprinters, you could, to be honest, put them under your seat, wherever you wanted to put them, you can mount them on. Okay. The range on those is very, very fast. It's not going to exceed the bike length. And they're super easy to mount. They have a battery that is non-replaceable, built in, but you get quite a lot of battery life out of them. We're looking at 2+ years, and that could be plus up to kind of 5 or 6.
And after that, you replace them?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I love the blips. I think mine are called blips.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. I only have them up sort of, let's say there.
Yeah.
Just so I can thumb them.
Yeah. And I do the same. So I've got this, not on this bike here because this is my gravel bike, but on my roadie, I've got sprint shifters as well as the climbers on there as well. And they're a little bit more of a positive click as opposed to a button. So I kind of prefer the feel. And because they're wireless, they're way easier to mount.
Yeah. Is that Bluetooth or just the proprietary?
It is an area connection is the technology we use. So it's an encrypted wireless network. It's 128K encryption, which, to be honest, I've tried to had this explained to me before, and I don't know what that means, but it's the same level of encryption that banks use. So could people hack into it? If they really put a lot of time into it, and we're talking hundreds of years on supercomputers to break it down, but I think people have bigger fish to fry if that's the case.
And when AXS first launched, or the wireless, I should say, all those
eTap,
years ago,
original eTap, yeah.
There were issues basically getting approval from radio signal people.
Everything's all approved, so it's all. I believe it's under the FCC in terms of those wireless signals. But yeah, everything's all approved, and it's all approved in all of the countries we sell as well. So it's a big investment from SRAM is to get that approved everywhere. But it definitely works with everyone, and it's not something that ever speaks to anything else. I can't go jump onto your bike and change the shifting from my bike. It's just connected to that bike.
Right. But the setup is the same. You just
exactly the same. So pairing all starts from the master unit, which is your rear derailleur, and then you pair all your subsequent components to it. So The only difference really is if you had wireless blips, you would pair the wireless blips as a unit as opposed to them just being extensions of the shifters.
We covered a lot of territory there. I'm really grateful for that overview. Is there something that you want to mention that I haven't referenced?
No, mate, I think you're spot on, really. Like, I'm just keen for you to write it back.
Super. The power meter's the same as all that was before?
Well, it's very different, to be honest. So, you know, before, on your one, it was a multi-part. So you had a spider, then you had chain rings that bolted onto that. This is now one piece, which I kind of mentioned before with the chain rings, but the power meter integrates into that as well. So we borrowed this from Red. It's the same Quark technology we use on the Red, and it's the same accuracy. So it's 1.5 plus or minus, which is, you know, an industry kind of leading standard in terms of accuracy. So it's all in one piece, all replaceable. It runs off a little 2032 watch battery. It lives in here, so it's super, if I get my cut fingernails into it, in there, super easy to replace. You know, the other thing too is it's the same battery that operates your shifters as well, so there's always a spare there.
C2032?
Yeah.
I know that one.
I've got so many.
I carry them in my... And if you're going to buy a 2302, buy them in bulk. Yeah. Otherwise, they're very expensive.
And don't buy the ones that have the plastic lip on them for the power meter. They won't work. Fun fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We didn't talk about the brakes at all, but I came here. They all felt pretty natural. Disc brakes are just bloody good. They don't look too different, really.
The calipers externally, completely the same. They run the same hose kit, so you can trim from the end, you can trim from the lever, so you don't have to undo your bar tape if you want to make everything look nice and neat and a bit more streamlined. There are some changes internally. There has been a change to the way the pistons kind of roll back, like a little ergonomic change. So you just find setup is a little bit more streamlined with them before.
Super. Let's go for a bike ride before it gets too hot. Oh la la.